If you were standing in northern New York in the year 1817, the land around you, it would feel endless. Dense forests, mud that could swallow a wagon wheel, and silence, broken only by axes hitting trees. And cutting through all of that wilderness was a thin, brutal line. Not a highway, not a scenic route, a necessity. Because if war came again, and people believed it would, this road might decide who survived. Today, we call it the Old Military Turnpike. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Street Sign Storytime, where I drive all over this beautiful, well, mostly county, and chasing sport games and coaching and find roads, find history, and give you real information. And hopefully you are enjoying it. I'm loving the new format where I dig deep and I find some real facts about it. Do I miss some of the facts sometimes or mess them up? Maybe, but it's better than me making up the whole entire story that's almost so good, it's so believable that I would get phone calls from buddies' moms and be like, I never knew that. Well, I'm telling you, I'm trying my hardest for real information, and hopefully you're enjoying this. So without further ado, let's jump into the Street Sign Storytime of the Old Military Turnpike, because long before there were counties, before there were towns, before New York even looked like, well, New York, this route existed. Historic markers along the roads state plainly, formerly an Indian trail. That means long before surveyors showed up with chains and maps, there was people that already had this all figured out. And this was a path. It was a path that worked. It moved people through difficult terrain efficiently. Early traders, trappers, and settlers followed it because nature had already approved it. When Americans later turned this trail into a road, they weren't inventing something new. They were formalizing survival knowledge that already existed. And, well, that matters. Because this wasn't a random line drawn on a map. It followed geography, water, elevation, and centuries of human movement. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit to the early 1800s. The United States has just come out of the War of 1812. And one thing is painfully clear. The northern frontier is very vulnerable. Troops, they were hard to move. Supplies, they were slow. Communication was very unreliable. Northern New York, especially near the Canadian border, was a strategic weak spot. So in 1817, the federal government steps in. Historic markers credit James Monroe with pushing this project forward. The wording used is, in my opinion, important. Made a military turnpike, President James Monroe. That doesn't mean Monroe personally drew blueprints, but it does mean this road mattered at the highest level of government. And how do you know it mattered? Well, because it was built with military labor. Soldiers weren't just guarding borders, they were cutting trees, filling ruts, dragging stone, turning wilderness into infrastructure. The Old Military Turnpike ran from Plattsburgh west to Hopkinton, cutting across what would later become Clinton and St. Lawrence counties. Along the way, passed through places that still exist today. Ellenburg, Chateaugay, Malone, Bangor, and, well, this wasn't just a military corridor. It became a settlement route, a mail route, a farm-to-market road, a lifeline. And by the time the road was officially completed in 1826, towns had formed because of it. And you think traveling down 81 and into other states, the construction that you have to drive through was bad? Imagine taking 9 years to build this road. Doesn't seem so bad now, does it? And if you lived along this road, you weren't isolated anymore. You were actually connected. Here's the part that people don't always realize, though. Even after it was completed, the road was far from perfect. It was really never perfect. I mean, you had mud seasons that made it nearly impassable. Maintenance, it was constant. Towns argued over who should pay to fix which stretch, and yet it stayed important. So important that over 100 years later, newspapers were still pushing for improvements, calling it a vital corridor for farmers and commerce. That's how you know something mattered. It didn't fade away quietly. It refused to disappear. And today, pieces of Old Military Turnpike still exist in plain sight. In Clinton County, New York Route 190 still carries the name, well, Military Turnpike. Other modern roads follow portions of the original corridor, but not exactly, not perfectly, but close enough. that the path remains. And, well, scattered along the route, lots of historic markers. I love these historic markers. They're simple, they're blue, they're gold, they're red, and all of them quietly will tell anyone that wants to stop, anyone that can, has a quick eye and can read what it says and then pull up your phone these days and see what it is and where it is. I mean, it's going to tell you, that all of this mattered. I mean, people built lives here, and the road made it all possible. I mean, it's wild, too, because, let's be honest, the road isn't famous. It doesn't get documentaries. It doesn't get merchandise. If it does, maybe we could come up with some. Let us know in the comments. And it doesn't get reenactments, you know what I mean? But it did something far more important. It helped secure a vulnerable border. It opened the North Country to settlement. It connected communities before railroads ever arrived. It followed paths humans had trusted for centuries. And now, most people drive it without thinking twice, which is exactly why it belongs here. The next time you see a sign that says Military Turnpike, or drive a stretch of road that feels oddly old, remember this: you're not just traveling through space, you're moving through decisions made after war, through land shaped by necessity, and along a path that existed long before anyone put a name on it. And that road, well, it's still doing its job. That's all we have for another Street Sign Storytime. Can't thank you for, going down this route, going along with this journey, and whatever other road pun that I could throw at you, and I'm going to save you that. So if you have a recommendation of a road near you, something you saw that was interesting that you want to know more, please let us know in the comments, and we'll dig deep into it. If you're a historian of a town and you have a cool one and you want to share some information, send it over, matt@beardlaws.com, and you'll get all the credit for all the hard work that you do. This is just the beginning, and we have a long road ahead of us. Can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your busy day to watch or listen to this. But guess what? We'll be back next week. Another day, another road, another amazing journey. See you next week. Take care, everybody.